everyone, Bella here, content creation specialist over at Self-Publishing School, and today I'm going to talk about something that every writer should take very seriously, and that is using strong verbs to make your writing better. But why strong verbs? What is it about using a strong verb actually improves your writing, and why should you really do it in the first place? It's really easy for me to tell you just to replace your weak verbs with stronger ones, but without knowing why, it kind of doesn't serve a purpose. Strong verbs are used to build a stronger visual for your readers. It takes something that's very broad and narrows it down so the reader can get a very specific picture of what's going on. Think of strong verbs as a really powerful zoom lens. Your weaker verbs are the zoomed out bigger picture that you see, but you don't get very many details. You can see everything as a whole, but you can't really dive deep and see all those little things that make a big difference. When you use strong verbs, you're zooming in on very specific parts of the bigger picture so that the reader can get a very clear image of what you're trying to show them. And this not only shows a better picture of what's happening as a whole, but it actually alters the mood and the tone and makes the readers feel something that you want them to feel. All right, now that you've got that, let's talk about what the difference is between strong verbs and weak verbs. It's not like the stronger verbs are hitting the gym or anything, right? Right. I like to define strong verbs as the how of weaker verbs. In a general sense, the weak verb is a very basic form of what is happening. The stronger verbs are a very specified form of what's happening. If you're a little confused, don't worry, because I'm about to go into detail and actually show you how I edit some of my writing to replace the weaker verbs with stronger ones in order to paint a more vivid picture. So let's get to editing. All right, guys, are you ready to start editing? So basically, I'm just gonna go through and read the whole thing to you, and then we'll go through sentence by sentence and replace any weak verbs in order to paint a more clear picture. These are just a very few simple paragraphs that I put together for you guys, but I really want you to understand how different the image is from start to finish. So just to start out, I will read the whole thing over for you. Without another sound, she walked across the kitchen and sat down at the table. She took out her folder, opened it with a sigh, and gave me the note her teacher sent home. She was upset. I thought she'd be excited because she finally completed a math assignment correctly, but then I understood. I read the note over and was shocked. I set the sheet of paper down and left the room. So it's kind of very basic, but we don't have a very clear picture of what's happening and why. So let's just start with the first sentence. Without another sound, she walked across the kitchen and sat down at the table. So a few of the verbs here that we can change are walked, since it's pretty basic form of walking, and then sat. That is also another verb that's pretty basic, but we can make those pictures a lot sharper. So for walked, we have to determine how she walked. So in the paragraph below, you can see she was upset. So what is a way in which somebody walks that kind of shows that they're upset? I like to use moped. She moped across the kitchen. That kind of paints a very clear picture of her kind of dragging her feet, her shoulders slumped, and we understand that, you know, she's not in the best of spirits. And so if we go to sat, we can also replace sat with a verb that is a lot stronger. How about she flopped down at the table? Or let's do plopped. Flopped is like she flopped on a bed. Let's do plopped. So now the sentence reads, without another sound, she moped across the kitchen and plopped down at the table. This is a very specific image of how she's walking and what happens when she gets to the table. She plops down. She has no energy. She's upset. And so that sentence is done. We replaced just two verbs with two different stronger verbs that paint such a crisper image. So let's move on to the second sentence. She took out her folder, opened it with a sigh, and gave me the note her teacher sent home. So took is a very weak verb. It doesn't really tell you exactly what happened. And when she's in an upset mood, she's gonna act a little differently. She's not just gonna take it out. She's going to yank out her folder because she's in a mood. She's not just gonna take it out gently. She's gonna yank it out. She opened it with a sigh. We could change opened, but I think it's not really necessary in this sense. And gave me the note her teacher sent home. So gave is also a bit of a weak verb that we can replace. So how did she give me the note? Did she just hand it to me? Did she just set it down? Or how did she do this? This one also isn't as important, but we could do handed. So she just handed me the note, her hand to mine, and then that one's done. So we didn't change a whole lot, but as you can see, this first paragraph is completely different. It paints a completely different image of what happened when she came home. So if we read it back, without another sound, she moped across the kitchen and plopped down at the table. She yanked out her folder, opened it with a sigh, and handed me the note her teacher sent home. So now we get an understanding that she's upset. In fact, we know this so vividly that we don't even have to tell the readers that she's upset. So we can completely delete this next sentence. She was upset. We don't need it because now our readers understand. So with the next sentence, I thought she'd be excited because she finally completed a math assignment correctly. That one's probably fine. There's really not anything that really needs to be changed here because we're just talking about her. But then I understood. That one's also pretty fine, pretty good. And then the next sentence, I read the note over and was shocked. I set the sheet of paper down and left the room. So this doesn't really tell you how I'm feeling about it other than I was shocked. But my actions don't reflect being shocked. So let's go through the verbs and see if we can replace them. So I read. Read is probably fine, but it's a pretty basic form. If I want to put the readers in my shoes, I could say I scanned the note over and was shocked. So something to remember about any to be verbs, so was, am, is, those types of verbs tend to be a little bit weak with what they're with. So I don't know if that makes sense. So was shocked is a very weak way of saying how I feel. Instead, and this has a lot to do with showing versus telling, which you'll understand they both connect. Strong verbs and showing versus telling are very much interconnected. So when I say was shocked, what I really want to explain to them is I want to replace was with verbs that paint a more vivid picture. So I scanned the note over and my eyes grew wide. So that paints the same kind of picture as I was shocked. It's kind of like, oh my gosh, what am I reading? And then I set the sheet of paper down and left the room. So set and left are the two verbs here that we kind of want to look at. So I set the sheet of paper down. Well, how did I set it down? In what way did I set it down? Did I just, plop it down on the table, or did I slam it down on the table? That is more fitting with what happened. I slammed the sheet of paper down and left the room. But how did I leave? Did I just walk? Did I skip? Did I dance out the room? Probably not, because that doesn't really fit with what I'm going for. So when I slammed the sheet of paper down, which kind of is a very aggressive move, and I charged from the room. So now you see that the letter upset me. So now if we read the whole thing over, it says, without another sound, she moped across the kitchen and plopped down at the table. She yanked out her folder, opened it with a sigh, and handed me the note her teacher sent home. I thought she'd be excited because she finally completed a math assignment correctly, but then I understood. I scanned the note over and my eyes grew wide. I slammed the sheet of paper down and charged from the room. So now there's a very distinct mood. There's a very distinct feeling of what is going on. Even if you don't have the rest of the details, you can understand that she was upset when she came in the room because of a letter. And because of the same letter, I grew angry and upset as well. So you can kind of already infer what is in the letter. It's obviously negative. But from the first version of this, you would not have really known. You would have said, oh, she's upset, but nothing showed that. The strong verbs are used to specifically describe what happened in a way that creates a mood. And that's all I've got from the editing portion. Let's head back over to the video. Did you guys find that helpful? Comment down below if seeing kind of a real life application of these tips helps you guys understand it a little bit better. And don't forget to check out the blog post where I go into a lot more detail about how to use stronger verbs and how to replace your weak ones and why you need to do this in the first place. Head on over there, check it out, and while you're at it, make sure to join our free training. Chandler Bolt has a free webinar training that takes you through all the steps necessary in order to go from blank page to published author in 90 days or even less. And as always, give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe and hit the little bell so you're notified whenever we upload a new video. And make sure to follow us on social media for more writing tips and just writing motivation and inspiration in general. Thanks for watching, you guys, and I'll see you next time.